During the 1800s, America was struggling. No one could agree on the issue of secession, or the separation of the southern states from a nation. It was a heated debate, and people were passionate about their beliefs. People sometimes gathered together to discuss secession and other issues plaguing the country, such as slavery. Half the country felt it was wrong and wanted it abolished, while the other relied on labor too much to allow it to stop.
I think the South should accept the government's decision to end slavery.
What right does the government have in telling us what to do? We have states' rights, which allows the freedom to make decisions different than the government.
State rights? What about slave rights?
What did you say?
I said, what about slave rights?
Abolitionists are fighting for the slaves and their rights, like you are fighting for yours.
The Constitution says that every man is created equal. Slavery is clearly unconstitutional then, and it is our job to end it.
By the mid-1800s, the nation was literally divided in two, with the Mason-Dixon line representing the border of slave states and non-slave states. However, by 1860, the tension had become too great, and southern states felt they were running out of options. Secession seemed to be the only one left.
The U.S. has no right being mad at these southern states. They are just simply attempting to keep their beliefs and protect the ones they love. Wouldn't you do the same?
Well, yes, I would. I would fight for my family, and I would do everything I could to make sure that they were safe and protected.
Don't you see? That's all we want to. We're trying to preserve our way of life and our rights. By leaving the U.S., we can continue farming with our current system and continue providing for our families.
I guess I never thought of it that way.
I worry for our nation. What do you think war would be like?
War would be horrible. It would bring great sorrow to our country.
I think it would be a thrilling experience to go into war for your country.
What do you think, Suzanne?
Any war, my children, would be horrible. Imagine, brother against brother, father against son. Just awful. No one should have to go through such agony.
I would hate to consider all the horrible things war would bring with it.
Think of the horror the poor soldiers would have to go through, being scared out of their wits, away from their families. Life as we know it would end.
Hannah! My dear Hannah!
As everyone prepared for the worst, people everywhere began to imagine what lay ahead of them.
Should our nation dissolve into war, my son, we must enlist into the Union Army and fight to preserve our nation.
No, we won't. I will be defending the South. That's my homeland.
No son of mine will fight among those traitors.
Well, then maybe I'm not your son.
If we let the southern states to secede from the Union, we will no longer be America. Instead, there will be two countries with a border between what was the North and the South.
What will happen to everyone? Each region provides goods that the rest of the nation relies on, goods that the economy relies on.
We will have a hard time getting textiles and the supplies needed to make clothes. It is the South that provides us with the cotton that we use.
We won't have any weapons since the North has the factories that provide us with weapons. Farming is obviously important, but will it be enough to support an entire nation?
As you can see, it was a very confusing and emotional time for Americans. To this day, people are still debating whether or not the South had the right to secede from the Union. What do you think?